Hey Tracy.
Hello.
Hey gorgeous. Okay, so my invitation for you today then is to dive into exploring your relationship to money. So tell
Mm.
me a little about what is your intention for this session today?
Oh goodness, so there's so much. And um so on the quiz I come up as an impulsive, and I told myself a lot of stuff about that, so that and some of that is based on fact of cycles of spending, getting money, and then spending it at debt, getting money, spending it, debt. And I've worked really hard to break that, but I do still have the spending cycle, the debt not so much, but the spending can come up. That comes through as a dopamine hit for me. Um, and my husband will always or often says to me, "Oh, you're just crap with money." Um, and that's why you need me around to keep you on track.
Mm.
Um, and that some of that spending debt cycle is definitely, I can see a pattern from my childhood that my parents would do, um, in trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I guess it's about separating myself from a story that I don't need to be attached to anymore. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What I heard you talk about there then, Tracy, was a few pieces. Firstly, around the money story types assessment and your primary archetype being the impulsive,
Yes.
and how that has played out in the relationship to spending money, and how your husband seems to be reinforcing this in that you need him to kind of remind you of the fact that you're not great with money, so let me help you instead. So there's some like other people's reaffirmations, if you like, coming in there. And then actually a lot of awareness for yourself of recognizing some patterns from growing up around parents as well, and keeping up with the Joneses you were
Mm.
expressing there. And at the end, you were talking about separating yourself from some of these narratives, some of these stories. So, when you think about those pieces, which of those feels like the one that is showing up for you the most right now?
The separation.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because it's not something I want to be identified as,
Mm.
particularly as I enter into my middle age. Um, and um, there's a part of me that sort of wants to, I'll show you to my husband, but I feel like there's a codependency cycle there as well. And it's about me stepping away, breaking that away because he's not going to. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So, yeah, separation for sure.
Okay, great. So when let's dive a little deeper into this. I'm curious to like understand the word separation for you. And I hear you talk about like these two parts. There's like one part of you that's like maybe feeling codependent. There's other part of you that's feeling like you want to say to your husband, like, I'll show you. Like almost like
Yes,
this rebellious
yes.
side. So when you think about and you talk about separation, wanting to be separated, tell me a little bit more about that word. What does that mean for you?
Oh, that's so interesting. So I think um in that separation word, I'm looking for a form of detachment or disassociation from
Mm,
an identity that I'm I'm don't wish to be associated with anymore.
mm,
Um, and yet that's part of me as well. So I feel that there's a real conflict there too, because by if I guess if I was to separate completely, then am I cutting away some of my essence of who I am and some of the things that come with being an impulsive that
mm,
aren't bad, like a natural generosity or an ability to not have to plan 6 weeks in advance before doing something. Um, that makes me able to be a bit more, oh yeah, let's do that, and adaptable, I guess, flexible. Um, so I feel really conflicted as well because there is an element of that identity for me of the generosity, but it's about not having that be my identity, I guess, with regards to money and my ability to manage my money or to hold on to it.
mm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I could almost visualize this description of this generosity part of you, and then this part of you that doesn't have to plan everything in advance, like not wanting it to feel heavy in some way.
Mm,
Let's explore these two sides then, Tracy. So, when we think about those two sides of the impulsive, right? So, this
mm,
part of you that can be super adventurous and can just choose in the moment to spend, and then this other part that is maybe then, in your words, you were talking about perhaps the codependency or getting into debt cycles in the past, and how that's maybe not supported you.
mhm.
Let's consider those two parts for a second, those two sides. So, how do you feel like the belief that is connected to the impulsive? How do you think that this cycle, these behaviors have supported you in your relationship to money?
Um, so I have perhaps what some people might feel as an unwise belief that I'll always be okay. And I have been. So the debt cycle um, has been such that it's been quite hefty at times. For example, when I left my marriage, there was £26,000 of debt that was in my name, although it had been accrued in the course of the marriage, so it wasn't all mine. And ironically, in a financial settlement with my husband after our divorce, that was the figure that was awarded back to me.
Right.
So I really feel like the universe has supported me,
Mm,
but it feels like I do this. So it's very much like, oh, I really want the wealth or the money or the thing, and then, oh, I've got money, so it burns a hole in my pocket and I must spend it and be super generous and because I can't hold on to it, and then plummet into this place of debt and difficulty and trying to have to claw my way back up again to getting some more money again. And it feels really not easeful. It's not easeful. And
mm,
it supports me because I get a dopamine hit from that. Oh, yes. And I get a dopamine hit from getting rid of it as well.
yeah.
So it's both. Um, I get a hit from the down and I'm getting a hit from the high
Mm,
and the low. Um, which isn't great for from messaging really that actually to manage my money I need to be more level headed about it.
Hmm. That's interesting. In order to be level, I have to be level-headed about it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's the story I know that I'm telling myself from what I see with other people. So like my husband is very good with money,
Right.
he's very good at planning, but he can also be generous as well. And but he's able to hold on to it. He doesn't burn a hole in his pocket. He doesn't need to spend. So for example, we were out yesterday in B&M and I saw one of these cooling bag baskets and I was like, oh, look at that. It's a basket and it's a cooling bag all in the same time. And he's like, no, you're such a magpie. Just come away, step away from the thing. You don't need it. And he's right. I don't need it, but I wanted it.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, it's been very conflicting. It's very conflicting and emotionally high and low with the
Mm.
peaks and those troughs.
Mm. Yeah, I hear you. So the way it's supported you is that there's almost this underlying belief that I'll always be okay.
Yeah,
Like I'll always make things work. And in the example you gave of your divorce, you had 26,000 in debt, but then you were rewarded the same amount back. So it was almost like the universe saying to you, but it'll
yeah.
always be okay, right? Because it's just worked itself out.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was a long cycle. There was like a long period of time, a good 9 years between
Mm,
that and that place. But yes, definitely. And in between all of that, I was very supported.
mm,
But some of my shame, I had to enter into an IVA
mhm.
to to show my commitment to wanting to clear some of that figure.
Yeah.
And a lot of PPI payments were used as well to offset that figure too as part of the IVA. So I didn't benefit from those. And I was supported, I guess, by my husband too.
Mm,
Um, and to be honest, whilst in living within the strictures of the IVA, not being able to have any credit actually did work really well for me.
mm.
So those strict boundaries were good in a way because I was still able to do that a bit of high and low. It was still
Yeah.
there.
Yes. I understand. I can really hear that sense of like the emotional highs and the emotional lows. Yeah. So, and you also talked about it being supportive for you in terms of the dopamine hit, and the dopamine hit, it creates that emotional high, and then we get the release of the dopamine, which then means that we go down the
Mm,
dopamine scale, if you like, as well. Yeah. And just on that, before we kind of flip this over and start to look at how it's maybe sabotaged you in some way,
mm,
you think about that dopamine hit. What is it about the dopamine hit that feels important for you?
mm. So in the buying of things, and it is things, um, there's a sense of safety that's created in
Mm,
that. And the dopamine reinforces that oh, by the having the things, then I'm safe.
yeah.
Um, and it could be seen as a form of kleptomania. Um, for example, 40 pairs of shoes. I can only wear one pair at a time, as
Mm,
I'm reminded. um, and I don't need 30 handbags, etc., etc. But there's a safety in for me in the oh well, but I might need those one day if I'm wearing an outfit that looks like such and such. So there's also a part of me that is almost like trying to cover for every eventuality.
Mm.
Um, so that, yeah, just in case I might need it one day.
Yeah.
And so there's a safety thing is definitely linked to that.
Yeah.
So a high of, oh, I've got a new shiny thing.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And actually, this plays into the architect's money story type, which is the natural planner. And very often, just for you to connect this together, the architect is there to naturally plan everything in advance. And that
Mm,
creates this feeling of safety. The challenge for the architect is that then they find it very difficult to let go of the need to plan. Whereas for the impulsive does have this beautiful way of just going, yeah, sure, let's go spend it. Let's go say yes to this opportunity. Let's take
mm,
these risks because we'll just figure it out, you
yeah.
know? So I love how you've already started to kind of contemplate how the need for the dopamine hit is to create that safety.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm. But it's tiring,
but it's tiring.
and that more level playing field is something that in this stage of my life
Mm.
feels more supportive.
Mm. Okay. We'll come back to that in a moment then, Tracy. So, having considered then how this particular belief around money is supporting you, let's imagine we're kind of going to flip the coin. So, I want you just
Yeah.
you can imagine you've got a coin in your hand and we've looked at one side and we're now going to have a look at the other side. So, if you were to contemplate the ways that this belief, this relationship with money has challenged or sabotaged you, how do you think that this has been showing up for you?
Oh goodness. So, um, like with it burning a hole in my pocket, my inability to hold it. If I were better at that, my cash flow in my business wouldn't be as close to the wire as it absolutely is right now. My ability to hold savings or even have savings, to be honest, um, would be a thing. And those are things that I aspire to. Those are things that I admire in other people. So why is it that I can't emulate that for myself, I suppose?
Mm.
Um, because they are things that I really admire and really would love to have like a healthy cash flow, and I could have that. But I've said I've spent my money on training and learning new things or adding to my library, and I don't need them. I don't need them, but they are things that I feel support me in my business.
Yeah.
But actually, there's also a sabotage in there's too much stuff because then there's just so much that I don't need.
Mm.
That is actually they're a distraction. Um, and the sabotage is that actually because things have burned a hole in my pocket and I haven't got a rainy day fund or a something to fall back on fund, when something that's really um like valuably high ticket value that really feels like, oh, that would be fabulous to do. I can't do that.
Mm.
To do it, I would have to either enter into a payment plan or ask my husband.
Yeah. Mm.
So there's a reliance on other people still.
Mm.
And it feels quite childlike behavior.
Mm.
As I'm talking to you, it feels very much like emotionally immature behavior.
Mm. And does that behavior serve you?
It stops me from being responsible.
Mm,
So whilst I'm saying, oh yeah, I will always be all right, and I have been, it takes away my being accountable to myself and in partnership with my husband. Uh, yeah, um, feel quite a lot of shame about that actually.
mm,
Mm. And I think I'm very lucky. Both of my parents are still alive. They too don't have their own great relationships with money, but they are both financially secure. So I guess some of that, oh, I'll always be okay, is while they're okay and I
mm,
still have my parents.
mm.
So whilst I'm perhaps not financially abundant in terms of cash, I am financially secure in
Mm.
other ways.
Yeah, I love that. And what I feel really strongly from what you've shared there, Tracy, is that you've almost gone into this dance around responsibility
Mm.
and recognizing that there have been times where other people have supported you. And actually, that's okay for other people to support you. And also, there's this other side that's like, but I do want to be more financially responsible for myself
Mm.
so that I could have some savings and healthier cash flow in my business.
Yeah, and to not have to be reliant on somebody else to rescue me. That's the word that's come to my head that that's where the emotional immaturity is that, oh, it'll be okay because somebody will rescue me.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And we won't dive into that piece right now, but what I do want to say is just to acknowledge the awareness that you have around this word responsibility around money. This is something I feel like would be good to bring into the next piece here, actually, when we think about, well, if we were to imagine what the difference might be to your life financially if you were able to really step into this belief for yourself that I can be responsible with money.
Mm.
Can we explore that for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's do that then. So let's imagine that you were in a place where you are still giving yourself permission to learn new things, to go and study and take additional courses, which I know is something that you love to do. As you know, it's really important for you. It's a real value in your value system is learning and knowledge. So how would it be then if you were able to give yourself permission to allocate some money towards those things without any judgment from anybody else about whether that is the right thing to do? The fact that you have just taken that responsibility to make that decision for yourself.
Mm.
What would that relationship with money look like for you if you were to really step into, I am responsible with money?
So it feels like it would be giving every pound a job so that when it comes in and I know what my actual outgoings are, what's left to be given jobs as well, so that maybe there is a portion of that goes into a fund that's for learning, and then what's left from that then is the fund to be an income. Um, and whilst I'm looking at this, the outgoing pot regularly to review that with the, well, do I need those things that are the outgoings? So the subscription to Toggle or Notion or YouTube Premium, for example. You know,
Mm-hmm.
are they necessities in my business?
Mm. Yeah, I love
And
that.
if not, gift myself that money back.
Mm.
Um, so the responsibility is being accountable with the transactions within my account rather than just going, oh yeah, I'll just buy that and do this, and not really thinking about the actual transactions and the impact they're having on my cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah, great idea. I love that.
Mm.
And are you giving money a job right now in any of your areas of money?
So I have a number of things that are finishing in June, and potentially then that leaves a sum then for me to think, okay, that doesn't have a job anymore. And I'm a bit excited about that. And also a bit like, no, don't sign up to anything else or continue anything else. Because so it's like, well, what job do I give that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does that do? And I would love to be in a place where I could let it sit in my account
Mhm.
and it not need to be allocated to anything,
Uh-huh.
but that its job is to sit there and just help bolster the cash flow.
Ooh. Is there a word that you could connect to the holding of that money that doesn't have a job? What would that
Mm.
be?
Gosh. Mm. So it feels like it would be a safety net. So it'd almost be like, when a till has a float.
Hmm.
So it would almost be like, oh, that would be my baseline. So not zero be my baseline, but the however many £100 is my baseline,
Hmm.
because then that's my danger zone to zero. Between that figure to zero is my danger zone.
Hmm.
That feels exciting and almost like a game that I could be playing with myself.
Yeah.
So rather than the zero being that, oh my God, it's absolutely hideous, it's that figure there is my baseline.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. Like, so that money that is in this floating account, as you described, then is representing safety.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And with time would be lovely to then increase what that figure is. So,
Yeah.
for example, if it was £600 for however many months, and then like to get to a position where actually that baseline figure is £1,000, etc.,
Hmm.
etc., and to keep increasing that, that feels really supportive for
Mm.
my, yeah. And actually, I feel like I could get a dopamine hit from that.
I was just thinking the same thing, and it feels like a game you were
Yeah,
describing feels like a game with yourself.
Yeah. But then there's that voice saying, well, that's still childish thinking, though, right?
And
Calling it a game.
what's wrong with childish thinking when it comes to money?
I again, I guess that's conditioning that would be like, yeah, but it's got to be something that I will do,
Hmm.
not. And if it feels like it's restrictive, that's the other thing. That's the downside to it. Is if I feel it's restrictive, then I might rebel against it.
Hmm.
But I know that that behavior has not served me so far. So this safety net or cushion feels like a cushion actually. Um, that is a way of let's explore that
Mm.
because I've done it this way for so long and that's not worked.
Mm.
And nothing changes if nothing changes.
Mm.
So I have to try this. Well, not have to, but I want to.
Mm.
It's, yeah, I can feel like, oh, yeah.
And when you think about doing that, I sense there's some fear there about, well, if it's too restricted, it's not going to feel good. So, how could you remove any restriction there to make it feel even more
Hmm,
expanded?
that I'm not so sure about. Would that be like setting aside a sum to play with? Like, I don't really know, actually.
Hmm.
It's a good question, and I don't know the answer to it. Hmm. So
Is
the
it
restriction feeling comes from that um that it will stop me being able to be like, oh yeah, let's do this. It's or let's give that.
okay? So, what if you had a fund where, like a what if fund, then, if would that
Oh,
make a difference to you?
yeah, I think that could. So I've got my safety cushion and then my what if fund and then anything else outside of. Yeah, okay. Ooh, got a shiver. That means it's true.
So your suggestion there then is having this cushion, this safety fund, having a what if fund was the phrase that you use there. A what if, but what if I've got that
Yeah,
money there, but I go
yeah,
and see a nice picnic basket in B&M and I want to get it, like, because it feels good for me to give myself permission, right, to do that.
yeah,
If you had some what if play money
yeah,
and your safety cushion fund,
yeah.
looping that back into responsibility and this belief, I am responsible with money, how true does that belief feel for you?
Yeah, that feels more aligned.
Hmm.
Um, because I feel like I'm still honoring that part of me that wants to be generous and all the other things, but also being accountable to myself and for my business,
Mm.
um, and demonstrating that I can still do that and do that.
Oh, yeah. So I can do this and this.
Yes, It's not an either or. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And the either or, actually, I've just realized that's been so underpinning.
Mm.
It's like an all, which is the same as all or nothing. Either
Right.
or is the same as all or nothing.
Mm. And what's important to you about the all or nothing?
Uh, so when I'm in and being all in, that means that it has all my attention,
Mm.
but that can be detrimental to other things. And if as I want to desire to be responsible, being that focused on something in that all or nothing mindset is detrimental to other things around that also require attention and responsibility.
Mm.
Um, whereas an and offers that space to have both. Maybe in less extreme as the all or nothing,
Yeah.
but it's more of that level that I was speaking of earlier, the balance. I hate that word, harmony.
Mm.
Harmony.
Oh, yeah. I love that word.
It feels more harmonious
Mm.
and desirable.
Mm. And so if we took those two words, harmonious and desiring, could we put those into a belief statement around money?
Oh gosh. Um, okay.
So maybe starting that with money is,
So money is desirable. No, money is something which I can desire and have harmony with
mm,
at the same time.
ooh,
So the word desire now makes me feel like it's just out of reach, though, because
uh,
I'm desiring it rather than having it.
oh, yeah.
So it feels like I might never have it. So then I never get to be in harmony with it.
Mm, wow.
So that's not the statement. I can hold money and be responsible with money, or no, I can hold money and spend money in a way that is harmonious,
Oh, that's good. I can hold money and spend money.
or I can uh, earn it. Money comes to me
Mm,
and I can hold it
mm,
and spend it if I choose to,
yeah.
but either way is harmonious to me
Mm.
and my business. Hmm.
Can I invite you to write that statement down?
I've forgotten it.
Would you like me to remind you of it?
Yes, it's something about I can earn money. Was it earn or
Yeah, earn
money flows in?
and money flows in,
That sounds better. Yeah,
and I can hold money, be responsible with money.
yeah,
And then you added the piece in about money being harmonious, being in harmony with money.
in a way that is harmonious.
Yeah. And sometimes with these belief statements, they need a bit of fine tuning, a bit of rehearsal, like in your mind, in your body, even at soul level,
Yeah.
to sit with it and think, well, does this feel great? And I loved
Mm.
how you tried the desiring piece, but it actually, no, desiring feels like I've not got it yet. It's over here, which when you think back to the dopamine hit analogy earlier that you shared, I can understand why that doesn't feel as
Mm.
rewarding.
Yeah, it's the having, and
Mm,
I love to have it, but it's breaking that cycle of wanting to get rid of it as soon as I have it, but actually making the holding of it the thing that's exciting.
yes, yes, yes. And I think that what you shared in this session today was a really powerful analysis of one of the ways that that could be more exciting for you when you think about this future state of being with money is that the holding of the money can represent safety and this cushion,
Mm.
this like float, like a cash flow in your
Yes.
business. And that could also be something that we can dive deeper into in the next session together, where we could explore some cues, some anchors, some representation of that safety and those cushions, and just sense check whether that is exciting enough,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes safety is, it's like a nice warm cuddle. It's like you're wrapping a blanket around you. It's the safety which regulates the nervous system.
Yeah.
And also, we want to make sure that in the holding of that money, you can also create that excitement at the same time, where you talked about making it a bit of a game.
Yeah. 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 Okay. That's great.
So much wisdom there, Tracy. Um, so, what three actions would you like to take to begin to open up these possibilities that we've explored today?
So I want to refine that affirmation statement
Mhm.
and then put it somewhere where it's visible on my desk for me to connect with that energetically every day. So it's like an anchor
Great.
to re-review my regular outgoings and refine them even further to gift back to the business those things, the cash,
Yeah.
and to set that cushion fund in place, that limit, and yeah, look forward to holding cash in my bank.
Yeah, I love that. I love those actions. Um, can I offer one suggestion on that for you?
Yes.
Thank you. When you're thinking about the holding and the amount you're going to allocate to that cushion, I would also love you to invite another piece around how you could actually get money to accumulate faster for
Okay.
you without you having to do anything. So, what I'm thinking here, Tracy, is as an example, if I was considering, well, where would I hold that money to gain the most financial worth? Like, in,
Mm.
would I keep it in this savings pot or this savings pot, or would I invest that money? There's some pieces that we could do in some future sessions to actually look at, well, if we could get money to work to
Yes.
accumulate even faster,
Yes. Yes.
that's the dopamine hit that we
Yeah.
create by you've got this safety, and there's going to be some of that money that you'll want to keep accessible so that you can still have that wiggle room, that flexibility, that non-restrictedness that you talked about was important.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we can also have this piece where it's like money could be accumulating for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And maybe that's the piece where we could look at, you could look at exploring some investment opportunities with some of that once you've got that safety pot
Yeah.
there to accelerate that without you having to work for it, in using that money to invest in
Yeah.
and values that you believe in.
Oh, I like that. Would love to explore that further. Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And then finally, then Tracy, just to really anchor this into some momentum for you, by taking those three actions, what is important to you about creating this new harmonious relationship with money?
Because it will be something that my future self will thank me for greatly.
Mm.
My future version of myself would really desires this. Desires, has it, really has this vision.
Oh, I love that
And
reframe.
it's for me to, yeah, do that for myself.
Mm. And I'm just thanking and holding you in that right now, that you're doing this for yourself.
Yeah. 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 And reflecting back on the beginning of our conversation, I'm very much now minded of the current self and future self dissonance that I have been operating from. So being very much in the living in the moment rather than planning for a future that I perhaps haven't connected to a vision of.
Mm.
So this statement, this money flows in statement, feeds that future vision.
Yeah. And my invitation is also to perhaps go and dive into the architect's money story
Okay.
type, because that's the one that's going to really be focused on that future piece.
Okay, thank you. I will.
Great. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you.